Mickey Spagnola covers the Cowboys after that dramatic win, yet another one. And they have three of those, against the Chargers, against the Patriots, and then, of course, in what they were able to do with Cooper Rush and company and the defense that was opportunistic against Minnesota. Mickey, they have won games that sometimes, you know what, when you're having a special season, you got to win them. There's a couple that could have got away. And what about that moment? We've seen the Cowboys do that before, whether Anthony Wright, for God's sakes, or somebody that comes in and fires away. Jason Garrett. Your thoughts about what Cooper Rush did for the Cowboys on Sunday night?
Yeah, since you mentioned a little bit of history, I basically wrote, David, that this one will go down in Cowboys lore, right there with Clint Longley and Jason Garrett and Steve Berline, the guys that came in off the bench and were able to win a game. And frankly, if you think about it, Tony Romo was a backup quarterback till he got his first start and went to Carolina and won a game. And Gary Hogeboom did the same thing. So we've seen this with Cowboys backup quarterbacks, and that was pretty dramatic, what Cooper Rush was able to do, especially the second half. Because my guess is after they only put up 3 points in the first half, for a team that was averaging 34 points a game, I'm sure everybody was starting to look at the waiver wire and go, okay, who's available? We got to get a better quarterback than this. And Cooper Rush turned it on in the second half, made some huge throws, none bigger than the winning touchdown pass to Amari Cooper.
Mickey, I thought this that night, and maybe it's just because they both have red hair, but to me, this was his Jason Garrett moment. You got a national TV game, and again, if you think back to that Jason Garrett game, it was not it wasn't like he just plugged in and kept a prolific offense going. He made the plays when he needed to make. He made a couple big throws to Alvin Harper, and that's how the Cowboys won the game. It wasn't, one of those all-timers where Jason Garrett set some kind of record. He just played well enough with a good team around him to win the game.
And if you remember, Paul, he did most of the damage in the second half, just the way Cooper Rush did. But you're right. He ended up, I think it was 3 touchdown passes and 300 yards passing, or maybe 2 something. And you know what? The thing I remember about that game is afterwards when and Jason was pretty humble, like Cooper Rush was after the game, and they asked Jason what was the key to turning it on in the second half. He goes, well, before I left for the game, Brill, and I can't remember if it was his wife then or she was just a girlfriend, but they ended up getting married. He said, yeah, Brill told me if I get in trouble, just throw it up high to Alvin. Yeah. And that's what he ended up doing. He threw up a couple passes, and Alvin, he was a 7-foot high jumper in college and went up and caught a couple touchdown passes for him.
So, Mickey, looks like Dak is going to be coming back this week. Looks like Michael Gallup potentially getting closer to a return?
Closer. And they were going to see how he went in practice this week. When they bring guys back off the IR like that, they can practice for three weeks before you have to make a decision. This is his second week. So some of it will be, is he ready? And some of it will be, do they have a roster spot available so they don't have to maybe cut somebody? Because you never know when somebody pulls a hamstring and they go on IR and it opens up a spot for somebody else on the 53-man roster. So I would imagine they'll take that till Saturday before they make the decision. And if it's not for this game, it definitely will be for Atlanta next week.
All right, so Law Collins, what they're doing with him, he started right tackle. He went out because of the suspension. Steele has played better than anyone could have ever expected. Now Tyron Smith has a flare-up. Where is he going to play this Saturday? Is he going to start left tackle? Is he going to start at right tackle? Is he going to start?
Well, let me put it this way to you. Today, when Mike McCarthy was talking about the different contingencies they have, no, he's going to start. Believe me, they don't have enough tackles if Tyron's down. But he was talking about, the difference between playing on the left side and the right side. And he was talking about the footwork. And he said, part of our decision is how did snaps go in training camp? So if I'm reading between the lines, La'el Collins snaps in training camp in the first game were at right tackle. Terrence Steele started at right tackle as a backup, and by the middle of training camp, he was playing backup on the left side. So he actually got snaps at left tackle. So if what he was saying about snaps in training camp count, then to me, it looks like La'el Collins would be the right tackle, and they'd move Steele out to left tackle. Now, in college, he played right tackle. All last year, it was right tackle, but he did get snaps with the second team when they were trying to figure out who was going to be the backup swing tackle. It was either going to be Steele or Nasecki. Well, when they moved him to left tackle with the backups, I'm going, okay, they want to see if he's the swing tackle, and I think he won that job, obviously. So it looks like that's the way they'll go. But again, they're keeping it close to the vest. Now, I don't know if Jerry will spill the beans on Friday or not, but he actually said early this week that, the competitive advantage is not telling your opponent what you're going to do. And I'm going, well, it's taken them all these years to figure that out.
Yeah, it's taken since 1989 for him to finally realize that.
Well, there are a couple of years. I think part of that is just a couple of years in the 90s. 1993, you can pretty much tell everybody what the Cowboys are going to do, and they're like, "Good luck, dudes."
Yeah.
But that's
right.
not certainly the case anymore. Mickey, I think we got the first real Cowboys bummer of the season when Jabril Cox out for the season with an ACL, and Jabril Cox's play was one of the reasons they felt confident enough to let go of Jalen Smith in the middle of the year.
I wouldn't go that far. Jabril Cox was basically a really nice special teams player. He wasn't getting that many snaps on defense. And even after they let Jalen go, he got a couple snaps. He made a nice play. Was it the New England game or maybe the game before that, Philadelphia? But he had been a special teams player, and they took a hit there, so they may have to bring Francis Bernard off of IR, another linebacker. He was really starting to come on, but the reason Jalen Smith was let go was the same reason the Packers let him go. He just wasn't playing very well.
Yeah, and of course he was let go by two teams with two pretty good records. You'd think somebody out there, but I think his time seems to be numbered. I want to ask you this. Would you have to kill Amari Cooper to keep him off the field in a big moment?
Did you like that? He was massaging his hamstring with a little ball on the sideline. And then it's like, oh, no, I'm going in. And then when CD goes, okay, you want me to take this? He goes, no, this is mine on the winning touchdown grab. So, yeah, you got to love Mari. He's always dealing with something. But he always manages to get out in the game. And this week, he's been limited in practice both days. As a matter of fact, CeeDee Lamb sprained an ankle in practice yesterday, and he didn't practice today. Now, they seem somewhat optimistic that he'd be ready to go for Sunday, and maybe they're just trying to rest him up. But, yeah, Amari Cooper is the unwide receiver, right? He's got no ego. He doesn't complain about anything, and he'll play hurt. So yeah, he's a gem. And that whole wide, where you see what's going on in Cleveland with Odell Beckham Jr.
Yep.
This wide receiver core is just, they have an amazing relationship. And they have amazing kind of humble, quiet personalities. Now, they're kind of cool to talk to, but you don't hear anybody going, well, I don't know that I got enough targets, right? I need more. They really mesh well together. And even Cedric Wilson, who's come in and made some big-time plays in Michael Gallup's absence.
Yeah. Cedric Wilson's catch on fourth down against the Patriots, wasn't it? Like he had to go pretty high. He's a big, tall, angular receiver. You don't make that when you lose. Of course, there's a lot of things. And then to give Cooper Rush such a target, to throw that over the middle, and it was perfectly thrown. But Wilson, if he drops it, you don't know what that might do. He's just made really some key plays.
And Mickey, he's the kind of player the Cowboys haven't had a lot of in this stretch of not being elite, in which it doesn't matter what you ask him to do, he's just going to be able to do it.
He's the fourth receiver, right? And he comes in and plays like that. And I was telling somebody today, I said, go back to 1995 and tell me who the three receivers were for the Cowboys, and I'll give you Michael Irvin. Well, they won a Super Bowl with Michael Irvin, Kevin Williams, and Kelvin Martin. And Kelvin Martin had maybe, 12 catches during the season. So basically it was the Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith show, right? And that was the year Emmitt scored 25 touchdowns and rushed for 1,700 yards. But here's the funny thing, and I know I'm on a tangent now, but stay with me. Right now, after 7 games, the Cowboys have 18 receiving touchdowns. In 95, when they won the Super Bowl during the regular season, the wide receivers totaled 18 touchdowns. Think about that.
Wow.
It's a different game.
Now, I know the game's changed, right?
Yeah.
But still, it was the Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith show.
That was that Cowboys team, but they had Darryl Johnston, who got a ton of catches, and Novacek, too, Those guys got
and Bjornsson, and Bjornsson, and Emmitt.
Yep.
And so when you got to the next wide receiver with catches, it was Kevin Williams, and I think he was fifth in line.
Yeah, Irvin had 111 catches. Novacek, had 62, and so did Emmitt. Emmitt had 62 catches plus 1,773 yards rushing.
Yeah,
insane.
I can tell you, Kevin Williams returned a punt in the snow one time. I can tell you more punt returns like Kevin
Leon
Williams.
Lett tried to return a punt in the snow one time too.
That was Thanksgiving. That was the Ice Bowl. That was Thanksgiving Day.
I can tell you more about Kevin Williams' punt returns than I can about any catch he ever had in a game.
Yeah.
All right. This wide receiver core is rather amazing, and you know what? Noah Brown has stepped up too as a fifth wide receiver. To come in and a couple times make some significant catches when called upon. So it's a pretty good offense right now. And as good as Cooper Rush was, the wide receivers and the running back, by the way, who catches a little dump pass over the middle when it looked like they're going to kick a field goal to tie the game, and bulls his way 11 yards for first down at the 5-yard line.
Yeah, that seemed like the first couple of 2 or 3 years of Zeke when he was just absolutely unstoppable. Mickey, thank you very much. And he was on that particular play. Mickey Spagnola of DallasCowboys.com. When we come back, Craig Smokes off the radar. 5 o'clock hour, we're going to get back into the chat room a little bit, and also your text messages, 254-339.